What's good, y'all? It has been crazy, crazy, crazy. I tried making this video earlier. I ended up talking way too much about the Harriet Tubman thing. And that's exactly my point. Like, this is why Kanye West is low key terrifying. I'm gonna give my perspective. I feel like Kanye West is terrifying because he exposes how corrupt the media is. Like I just said for myself, I made a video about 14 minutes long talking about the Harriet Tubman sentence, and that's exactly what it is. It was one sentence. They took an entire 1 hour rally, not to mention, like, the only place that had any audio for a while when the rally first happened, about 15 minutes, about 30 minutes of the audio is cut out. There's about a good 7 minutes or so in the beginning, and then the tail end. I listened to the entire rally, and actually listening to the rally, actually hearing what he had to say, seeing the format, I was so impressed. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was very inspiring. It was refreshing to see a man in touch with his emotions. It was refreshing to see a man not using political correctness or using evasion to answer questions, but using his own wisdom and experience, exactly what he's gone through. And that's terrible. Kanye West is a real human being. Joe Biden and Donald Trump, like, I don't know what planet they're from. I don't know if they're made out of carbon like we are. I don't know if they're flat earthers or round earthers or cube earthers. I don't know. Like, these people seem so fake to me. The media, I can never be able, like, having actually watched the rally, I would never be able to trust the media again. But let's get to this, because I didn't release the Harriet Tubman video, so I'll give you a couple, maybe a minute of that. And that's that he is right. There's no disrespect. He didn't disrespect Harriet Tubman whatsoever. He didn't call her out of her name. He did nothing what remotely to besmirch her. And who are the people that are upset with what his comments were? White people. White people that keep manipulating and using black people for their gain and for their advantage. They keep using the over emotionality of black people for their advantage. I just saw something today. A white man wrote an article called "Do Black Lives Matter to Black People?" I made a video when the Black Lives Matter movement first came out, and I first heard of George Soros' affiliation. I made a video called "Black Lives Don't Matter to Black People." Do they? Because that's the whole thing. Most black people live in predominantly black neighborhoods. So the entire focus. That's a whole different video for a different day. Let's talk about the Harriet Tubman thing. You literally have, if you research the Great Migration, you have to research the Great Migration in conjunction with redlining. You had Southern Democrats terrorizing and forcing black people out of the South. This was the large misconception for a very long time in slavery, was that the North was a promised land. They thought that the North was sovereign land and that there was no slavery in the North. That's what most of us were taught to believe, right? That there was no slavery in the North, and once you got there, you were free. There was slavery in the North. The slavery in the North lasted longer than the slavery in the South. It was different. You can give it that to some extent, but it was still a pervasive dismissal of the rights and the agency of being a black person in America. Not to mention, they've created these neighborhoods. When you go to East Orange, when you go to Camden, when you go to Trenton, when you go to Irvington, these are sections of cities that were split up and divided, and black people were given the scraps. They did not want us living with them. Even when I was growing up and going to school in the 90s and the early 2000s, they did not want us in Maplewood, New Jersey. They didn't want us in their school district, but they would still advertise how diverse the neighborhood was. These northern liberals do not care about black folks. They don't understand black people. And and they're the main ones feeding you the propaganda of white privilege. What is white privilege? White privilege is an admission that that person is a white supremacist. You shouldn't be screaming out of your face as a black. And this is like our movement's been hijacked by people that aren't even black and the same people that don't want to be black. So they're not fighting for the rights of all black Americans. They're not fighting for the reality of black people that live in predominantly black neighborhoods that don't deal with high crime rates, that don't deal with many of these issues. They keep bringing up places like Chicago or places like St. Louis. Those aren't issues of blackness. Those are issues of poverty. Those are issues of lower education. Those are issues of low opportunity. And those are things that Kanye West, as someone who grew up in Chicago, would be very aware of, and that's terrifying. They're terrified of black people that understand black people. There's so many of us that get some money, they get some voice, they get some education, and they no longer want to live in those neighborhoods, and rightfully so. There's nothing, you got a choice to live wherever you want to live. Live where you feel at peace, live where you feel at home. Nobody on God's green earth should feel threatened on their own block, in their own neighborhood, in their own town, especially not in their own country. So that raises a lot of issues. Kanye West is terrifying because it exposes, one, how ignorant people are about mental health. And so many people are saying he needs help, he needs help, he needs help. But for what? What does he need help for? Because he cried? It's like, how do you live in a nation that literally murders brown people for a living, has done nothing but murder brown people since its very inception, and goes across the world murdering brown people? How do you not go crazy? You have to deal with human trafficking. You have to deal with, if you're a young woman, you have to deal with rape. You have to deal with sexual trafficking. You got to deal with these men that have no male role models whatsoever trying to hit on you or get you pregnant. You have to deal with our education system being, one, ineffective, two, incompetent, and three, it's false advertising, as if you doing these things are going to necessarily get you a job, and that's not reality. And a college dropout knows that better than anybody. A college graduate doesn't understand that. A college dropout definitely freaking gets how broken America is. They've been on the precipice. They've just not finished. Whatever reason you might have to have not finished, you didn't finish, you didn't get the piece of paper, and then you realize how difficult American life truly is. You realize what it's like to have debt that you may never be able to pay off. You realize what it's like to have knowledge and to have information, to have resources, to have answers for people that they reject and do not value because you don't have a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. And the people with the doctorates and the bachelor's degrees only have them because that's what they invested into. It's not because they're geniuses. It's not because they're the most hyper intelligent people on the planet. It's not because seeing the media and how they've corrupted the story of Kanye West. And just like, this is no defense to Donald Trump, but just like seeing Donald Trump, I don't think I've ever heard an honest story about Donald Trump in 4 years. I've heard so many times in which people are claiming that he says things and does things that when I go to the source and I see what was actually said, none of that. And it's scary. It's very, very scary, and it's very terrifying because that's what society is becoming. It doesn't matter what you actually said. It doesn't matter what you actually did. These people are murdering you and you're innocent. They're arresting people like Stanley, a man that just wants to buy a bike for his son, and they violently arrest this man and then won't even listen to anybody. I understand you don't want to listen to the suspect. That's great. You think the suspect really corroborated with every single shopper here in the store? Are you kidding me? The precedents that are being set for black people in America shows how little this country cares about us. And it shows how deeply we need to care for ourselves. We need to support someone like Kanye West. Why? Because he's an American citizen running for president, and that is every single one of our rights. We shouldn't be limited to just Joe Biden or Donald Trump or Bernie Sanders. We should have leaders out of our own community stepping up boldly and proudly to be president. But the issues become people have become so anti-human, they've become so anti-Christ, they've become so against the progress of humanity. Why? Because they say racism's always going to be here. I don't believe in sexism. These are the same people that don't think that the Holocaust happened. These are the same people that think that slavery was a myth. These people are insane. They're absolutely insane. And it's okay, I understand people that don't believe in white privilege, but you need to understand the ideals of white supremacy. You need to be able to tell the difference between people pissing in your face and true rain, because a lot of you are having piss right in your face, and you want to believe it's rain so bad even though you're tasting that urea. You're drinking the urea, and you still want to believe it's rain. Kanye West is terrifying because at every single phase of his career, everything that people are mad at him for is him exposing the truth of racism in America. And that's what they don't want. They don't want the truth of racism exposed. They don't want the reality of knowing that Democrats are the most racist, white supremacist human beings on the planet. They don't want that. They don't want to talk about white poverty. They don't want to talk about how white people abuse white people. They don't want to talk about how 85% of crimes against white people are committed against white people, how the majority of violent crimes against white people are about white people. They don't want to talk about how there's only 4% of the black population in prison. Well, we got 96% of us free and alive and out here, but you have so many people with this like, you can't solve a problem if you don't know reality and if you don't know the issue. You will never be able to get to the source, and that's exactly why Black America struggles. It isn't because we don't have jobs, because 80% of us don't live in poverty. 80% of us are employed. We may not have the best employed, but we work enough to keep ourselves alive and to keep ourselves sustenance. If you get on a bus at 4 a.m. in the morning, you don't see white faces on the bus. The bus driver's not white. At 4 a.m., 3:30 in the morning, those are black people going to work to support and build America. Real talk, reality. There's so many myths about black life. There's so many myths about black men. There's so many myths about our community that it's going to take a real black mind with research, with time, with wisdom, with reach and experience to save black America, because the only way to save America at this point is to save black America. If you can't do one, you're never going to be able to save the whole of America, because the whole of America is chasing Satan's tail. They're chasing Satan's ass, and Satan is the king of assholes. And that's all that it is. And it's a shame. It's painful to watch. It's very hard to see. But Kanye West is so terrifying because he's right. Notice how people are calling him... People aren't calling him wrong. They didn't say, it's not true, Kanye. They said, he's crazy. And what do? They use crazy to dismiss you when you're 100% right. That's what crazy is used for. He's unstable. He's bi-fucking-polar. Do you not understand that much about what it's like to have bipolar disorder or an emotional disorder? It's like you make these people feel so crazy and so weird about themselves. Many of them end up killing themselves simply because they're not misunderstood, because people are avoiding them and they feel lonely. So the cause of death might say suicide, and you might think that it was caused by the person's depression or the person's anxiety or the person's schizophrenia, but in reality it was caused by loneliness and misunderstanding, because people are fucking idiots. How long are you gonna let people lie to your face and call it the media? How long are you gonna let people psychologically abuse you and call it politicians? How long are you gonna let people physically abuse you and murder you and call it proper policing? We are living in an age of object insanity already. The world is already crazy. These white people are crazy. The things that these white people justify. I just heard a story that in California, they made a black woman give up a $4 million home that she bought with her money. She built up with her money because she evicted one of her tenants for her little sister to move in. If that is not the rights of a homeowner, I don't know what is. They didn't require that she finds the person somewhere to stay. They took a $4 million home. That is modern racism, and that's what many of you, I'm not going to call you coons, I'm not going to call you niggers, I'm not going to call you Uncle Toms, I'm just going to call you Black America, African America. You don't need to watch out for postmodern racism. You don't need to watch out for overt racism. You don't have to watch out for rednecks. You need to watch out for modern racism, people taking advantage of your narrative, people controlling your perspective of reality, people controlling your resources, people controlling your information, and then them attempting to control you and put you in a state of obedience where you enslave yourself. You enslave yourself with debt, you enslave yourself financially, you enslave yourself materialistically, or you enslave yourself to sin, because that's what keeps the system running. That's what keeps the whole thing running. Kanye West is terrifying, because if a man like that got into the White House, this entire system of white supremacy would fall to its knees, because he would not stand for how white people operate in politics. He would not stand for how white people operate and sit blase when people are being murdered and go, well, white people are being killed by police officers too, with no concern or care for the white people that are dying. If the real question is, do white lives matter to white people? You have your sons overseas dying, and you make a culture of it. You have your own children growing up in poverty that should have had every advantage in the world because their parents misappropriated funds and did not have the responsibility to continue on the legacy of America. Most of these people aren't fully educated. Most of these people don't know anything that's going on. They don't understand government. They don't understand politics. They don't understand finances. But now you people are trying to convince yourselves that there's white privilege. If I ever heard of a psychological operation against the human mind, it's people talking about white privilege. White privilege is white supremacy. There's no privilege to white supremacy because white supremacy is a pathological sickness. It's the same pathological sickness that leads to mass genocide and mass murder, and you justify it because of profit margins. It's the same kind of psychopathy and schizophrenia that leads to mass unemployments and then a defund the police movement in the midst of sending people into economic absurdity. But Kanye West is crazy. Kanye West is crazy. The media is not crazy for blatantly lying to people's faces. No, that's smart and that's calculating, correct? Okay. So the police aren't crazy for being grown-ass men who are fearful, terrified of their life, of unarmed citizens when they have a numbers advantage and they signed up for their job to be brave. How the fuck are you going to be a hero if you're scared? Kanye West is terrifying because him even saying, I want to run for president, and the amount of U.S. citizens that couldn't just say, go get him, man. Good job. That's your right. Just it. That's it. That's it. You don't have to support him. You don't have to like. I don't like any candidates up right now. I haven't liked any candidates since I've been eligible to vote. I think they've all been terrible. Every single one's been terrible. You're gonna tell me that Kanye West is worse than Donald Trump? You're gonna tell me that Kanye West is worse than Joe Biden or Bernie Sanders? The only candidate that might be better than Kanye West is Jill Stein. And you guys treated Jill Stein like she was fucking crazy. Jill Stein had a plan to solve everything using the exact system that already exists. Not even lying about it, but being 100% honest about how America's already run by using the Federal Reserve in order to solve the whole problem. You people are being controlled, you're being manipulated, and you're being used, and it's very scary that many of you will never admit it. It's very scary. So I guess the reality is I don't find Kanye West terrifying. I find Kanye West extremely inspiring. I find Kanye West running for president an eye-opener for every single American citizen to take responsibility for everything that you're complaining about, everything that you're dissatisfied by. Run for political office. Do it. You have a right to. But instead, we're volunteering for tyranny. We're volunteering for an oligarchy. We're volunteering for a secret society ran country because we want the most sanitized, disconnected, insane people who already broke the country to fix the country. Joe Biden's been in the White House for 50 years. All these issues that exist, it's his fault. Nancy Pelosi's fault. Mitch McConnell's fault. It's all of their fault. If they've been in Senate or the House of Representatives for more than a single term, the country is their fault. But we're blaming Donald Trump, who's only been in the White House for about 3 to 4 years. Has nothing to do with any of this. Inherited a problem. Didn't even want to be president. We're blaming Kanye West now. We're calling Kanye West crazy. Who isn't crazy in America? How are you not crazy to live in America where you know that there are so many people that are disadvantaged in this country, so many people that are hungry or starving, and you still promote a culture about wealth acquisition? Americans are insane. Look in the mirror before you talk shit about Kanye West, because I'm pretty sure most of you have accomplished nothing that this man has accomplished. Not even close. Not even in the same ballpark. I think he's more successful than most presidents. He might be the modern day Alexander Hamilton. Seriously. You don't think it's a little weird that the movie Alexander or the movie Hamilton or the screenplay, whatever it is, comes out right before a man like Kanye West steps up to become president? His citizenship right as a naturalized, natural-born U.S. citizen spending his entire life living in this country? You people are crazy. You people are terrifying. The media is terrifying. The police are terrifying. And the fact that none of you want someone who's actually going to solve the problem. You just want someone who's going to make you feel better about yourself and help you pretend that life's going to get better magically. Just help you pretend like they have your solutions and best interests at heart. But Donald Trump doesn't give a fuck about you people. Joe Biden doesn't give a fuck about you people. You know who might? Kanye West, because he's one of you people. He's deeply connected to the grounds and to the streets. And the fact that so many people hate him without even trying to get to know him. They hate him based off the words of his enemy. They hate him without even looking at the source of what he's saying or even trying to consider whether or not he's right. Let's just put it right here. Harriet Tubman did indeed move people from one form of slavery to a new form of slavery. Was Harriet Tubman aware of that? No, absolutely not. What's the famous Harriet Tubman quote? I could have freed 1,000 more black men and black women if they knew they were slaves, and that's the reality. Most of you don't even know that you're enslaved. Most of you don't even realize that you're being controlled, and most of you want to be controlled. That's terrifying. I don't think Kanye West intended any disrespect to Harriet Tubman because it was literally one sentence and then he got booed. Why is a man crazy for a random question that he's not planned for triggering him to cry about almost being killed? Like, I don't understand the psychopathy that people have directed to Kanye West. The man's mother dies and you guys crucify him. He cries about almost being aborted. I don't have that story. That sounds really fucking sad. It really does. For someone to ask you about Planned Parenthood because you're a Christian, for someone to really get in your face and act like abortion's so great, and like this, listen to you fucking insane people. You know, I understand some people get abortions. You know, it happens. It happens. It's not you shouldn't fucking defend it. You don't defend getting an abortion. You don't make getting an abortion seem like it's just... Abortion isn't a form of contraceptive. Abortion is the last resort to prevent pregnancy because you aren't fit to be a parent. It's not meant for you to continue just living your life. If you have to get an abortion and you have to support people getting abortions, that means that you're admitting these people are not fit to care for themselves and other people. These people are not fit to raise the next generation. So I don't want to hear the mouths of people who are profoundly boasting about abortion and profoundly boasting about a woman's reproductive rights when most women don't want to reproduce to begin with. You need to be in a relationship to reproduce. You need to be having sex to reproduce. Many women do not want that. They want to focus on their career. So that's a greater... So I would say that women focusing on their career and women focusing upon being successful, women focusing on growing amazing, wonderful personalities is the best form of contraception that there is, because that's going to raise the bar so high when she does reproduce. She's going to reproduce with someone because he's a good, genuine human being, or because he's financially, mentally, and emotionally fit to care for a family, more than likely both. You people are so confused and so misguided and so brainwashed. And then you keep looking at the people who are liberated. You keep looking at the people who are trying to save your life. And you say, they're crazy. While you sit in the palm and you sit in the laps of your oppressors. You people are fucking crazy. Anyone who does not like Kanye West is crazy. Anyone who hates Kanye West is more than likely some form of psychosis or dementia. Most of you people that dislike Kanye West don't have genuine reasons to not like him. I've had conversations with people. I've even lost friends defending Kanye West. Guess they didn't have any legitimate reason to dislike Kanye West. Why didn't they like him? Because he's an outspoken black man exposing just how racist they are. And that's all it is. He's a rich, successful black man. That's it. And they assassinate those people. I'm just going to end it with this. They say Dave Chappelle, when he was supposed to re-sign with Chappelle's show, made $50 million. I mean, $500 million. I'm sorry, I apologize for that. $500 million. They said that he made too much money for his contract to be valid, so they were keeping his money, and then they only paid him 10%. And what did you people do? That was the reality of what happened. That was the reality. What do you people do? You people say for years on end that he's smoking crack in Africa. You people don't care about black people. You don't care about black men. So we have to care about ourselves. We have to support ourselves. And if you are a supporter of black people, if you voted for Barack Obama because he was half black, vote for Kanye West because he's 100% black. Vote for Kanye West because he's a real human being and a real guy. Vote for Kanye West because he actually freaking cares. Joe Biden doesn't give a shit. Joe Biden feels like this is his entitlement and this is his right. Donald Trump doesn't give a shit. Donald Trump is a fucking narcissist. He's a psychopathic narcissist. He's a textbook fucking sociopath. But you're worried about the guy who's bipolar. There's something wrong with you people. Something deeply wrong with you people.